Is there a secret to happiness? Yes, there is. And I'm going to say it is gratitude. All happy people are grateful, and all ungrateful people cannot be happy. We tend to think that it is being unhappy that leads people to complain and be miserable and unhappy. But it is truer, I think, to say that it is complaining that leads to people becoming unhappy. So by becoming grateful, you will become a much more happier person. Today, I'm talking all about gratitude and sharing some things from the happiness expert, Arthur Brooks, and my own research-based opinions on why being grateful makes us happy and puts our nervous system into a healthier state. Welcome to Burnout Solutions, a podcast designed to help high achievers and healthcare professionals understand stress and how it can lead to burnout. Together, we'll explore how your brain and nervous system naturally work and why they sometimes hold you back, and how to overcome those challenges to fully enjoy the success you've worked so hard to create. I am your host, Mona Tippett, registered nurse, burnout coach, and resiliency educator. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I am excited to be with you today. Last week, we talked a lot about complaining. Did you listen to that? It seemed a little bit like a Debbie Downer of an episode to me. But if you didn't listen to it, I actually think maybe you could, and you could learn something. It just talks about how we can quietly rewire our brain for negativity and keep your nervous system locked in stress mode and protection mode when we complain. And it gave you some ideas on how to make complaining effective and how to use complaining to problem solve. But today we are talking about the antidote for complaining, and that is gratitude. And maybe if you rolled your eyes a little bit, that's okay. I have actually always heard that gratitude was a really good thing for us. Sometimes in my life, I understood it a little bit more than others. And maybe I thought that gratitude was just one of those fluffy self-help ideas. But what I've come to learn is that neuroscience and nervous system research shows that gratitude isn't pretending like life is perfect, but it's about retraining your brain to find safety, connection, calm again, and being curious and connecting, right? I love all this nervous system work for that reason. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how gratitude can literally change your brain, can help you regulate your nervous system into the state of optimal performance, of ventral vagal state, and how it helps create the opposite wiring pattern of chronic stress and complaining into something that we want. So let's just start with the brain science. The human brain is wired for negativity bias. And I learned this in life coach school, and I loved it, that your brain, all human brains, are wired for negativity. And that is a survival mechanism. And it prioritizes fear and resentment and dissatisfaction, and is always on the lookout for what is wrong, what is dangerous, what is fearful, and that is to keep us safe. And our nervous system has the same goal, to keep us alive, to keep us safe. And these emotions really did help our ancient ancestors, and they kept them alive physically. However, today, those same drives can quietly sabotage our well-being and turns us into complainers and looking out for everything that's wrong. So I did some reading, and studies from the Greater Good Science Center at Berkeley show that when we experience or express gratitude, specific parts of our brain light up. And these are really fun to see, particularly the prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex, which we don't need to remember all of these, but just remember that these areas of the brain are responsible for regulating the emotions, moral reasoning, social connections, being intentional, being authentic, living our life on purpose. And I thought that was fascinating that just people who thought more grateful thoughts, those parts of the brain lit up. Gratitude also activates the brain's reward systems. And when that happens, they release dopamine and serotonin, and those are the same chemicals that help us feel calm and motivated and connected. And over time, these positive reinforcement loops strengthen neural pathways for optimism and emotional resilience. And this is where we are using neuroplasticity for our benefit. And we are retraining the brain to look for good and optimism and strengthening our stress tolerance because our brain is stronger and stress doesn't have as much of an impact. So that means just like complaining strengthens stress circuits, gratitude strengthens our safety and connection circuits. And the research on this is clear. I'm hoping that a lot of you have already heard some of this, that practicing gratitude can raise your happiness as much as 25% over 10 weeks. And this was a study that they did. And this is not because your life changed. It was because your perception does. And again, we see life through our perception. So when you practice gratitude, you're literally training your brain to look for what is good and going well instead of what is wrong. It's reminding yourself that life is good and that you are safe. And this shift, again, does not just ignore problems or pretend that everything is perfect, but it restores balance to our prefrontal cortex so that we can use our prefrontal cortex to come back online and be able to solve the problems that we have. And it just sets us in a way to be more successful. So let's talk a little bit about gratitude and the nervous system. Gratitude also has a powerful effect on your body. Research has shown that regular gratitude practices has significant health benefits, such as lowering cholesterol levels, reducing inflammation, increasing vagal tone. Gratitude also improves sleep, decreases our anxiety, increases our immunity, decreases depression and inflammation. It helps our heart function better, our digestive system work better, our hormones are more in balance when we experience a lot of gratitude. And it increases really our emotional vibration to a higher level. And I love all of those. And why is that? Well, because when we feel genuinely grateful, it turns on our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest branch. And that part becomes more active and our heart rate slows down. Our breathing deepens. Your body shifts into a state of safety and security. And our parasympathetic nervous system innervates so many of our organs and areas of our body. And when we are in that state, those organs feel and are told that life is good. And I love that. You can think of it this way, that complaining keeps your body in sympathetic dominance or in defensive mode. And gratitude tells your body, it's okay, we're safe right now, and brings us back into our zone of optimal performance, our zone of ventral vagal state, and we feel good. In a healthcare setting, this difference can be huge. Just think of a nurse walking onto shift and there are call lights going off. The unit is short-staffed again. Epic charting system just froze. And the instinct might be to sigh and mutter something like, here we go again. And that's a sympathetic response. The body is gearing up for battle. But just imagine that same nurse walking in, taking a breath and thinking, okay, it's busy, but I've handled this before. And I am so grateful for the team that is here with me today. And I know how to do this work. I know that we can do it together and we've got this. That thought just doesn't erase the chaos, but it regulates the nervous system enough to stay grounded and effective. It turns our thinking brain back on. The body feels more supportive and the brain has more access, again, to problem solving. And this nurse is more likely to co-regulate with others and spreading that positive energy instead of spreading stress. We also can give gratitude to ourselves. And I think in healthcare and in teaching and in parenting and in all of these caring professions, that can be hard and we don't take the time to do it, nor in our society are we really suggested, oh, be grateful for yourself. I work with so many high achievers and perfectionists, and we just accomplish something and then move on to the next thing. But I challenge you to celebrate your accomplishments and pause. I believe we can't count on others to share their gratitude for what we do. And so that's our job. Many of us get into the caring profession because we get some sense of satisfaction from helping other people. But often that can turn into a thankless job. And sometimes we can become cynical and proud and maybe a little bit entitled. And we have thoughts like, yeah, I have to do it because everything that gets done around here is something that I do. Or if it wasn't for me, then this place would fall apart, things like that. And those statements are not being gracious. Those come from protection and a defensive state and not a connection state. Gratitude, like real gratitude, helps shift us from the hustle and the bustle and the burnout and the stress into serving others, helping others, and recognizing the impact that we could have, because really you are making a difference. I love Arthur Brooks, and I wanted to throw something in there from him. He says there's actually 3 macronutrients of happiness. There's enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning. And he just defines that deep happiness, not just momentary pleasure, is having all 3 of these components. So enjoyment is just positive emotions that you feel right there in the moment, in the present. Satisfaction, just a sense of having accomplished something, most often after a lot of effort. And then meaning, so feeling that your life or actions matter beyond yourself. And I was thinking about this in the context of gratitude, because gratitude is a combination of all of these things. So enjoyment is, again, feeling thankful in the moment. So being grateful for what is right then. Satisfaction, recognizing and pausing and realizing what you have achieved or received and being grateful for that. And then let's add meaning to it. So being grateful when you see your life connects to something bigger, when you can see that you've made an impact beyond yourself and your job, and doing your job not because you have to, but you are actually helping people. And I love that in healthcare. You're getting paid to help people. And so many of us went into that because we enjoy that. We like helping people. We like making a difference. And being grateful for that opportunity is what can help prevent us from getting stressed and burned out while we do it. Here's just an example. So imagine you've just come off of your 12-hour shift. Sometimes I would work 16 hours, all the time actually, when I lived in Texas. And I could come home and be exhausted. I would still have all that stress and adrenaline running high. And if you're in that position, instead of collapsing or just moving on to the next task when you're home, you could take 60 seconds. You could even do this in the parking lot or when you're at a red light, your first red light, make this your habit, that you're going to take 60 seconds. You're going to pause. You're going to think of that patient that you helped or their family or that student or your child, whoever, even a coworker, somebody that you supported. And you say mentally or even out loud, thank you. You did that really well. You made a difference to that person. You started that IV, great. You really helped when they were scared. You helped calm their fears. You were great to answer their questions, whatever. And that one moment becomes the satisfaction ingredient. I made a difference. And even the meaning ingredient, I belong, I served, I helped. And your nervous system shifts from survival mode to regulation mode. And that's the nervous system power of gratitude. And I know that this sounds so simple. And when I teach my presentation of tools for emotional resilience, I talk about gratitude being one of the main ways of keeping ourselves in that zone of ventral vagal state, in that zone of emotional resilience. And people don't believe me. Well, okay, their faces say they don't believe me, but I'm telling you, gratitude and taking micro moments to be grateful, taking micro moments to pause and remind your nervous system that life is good and life is safe really do add up. Because remember, life happens in micro moments. And when we can spend as many micro moments of our day in gratitude and in a good regulated state, it adds up over time. Okay, so let's talk for a minute about neuroplasticity. I mentioned it a little bit, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper. So every time you choose to notice something that you appreciate, such as a coworker's kindness, a quiet drive home, right? For whatever reason, the traffic isn't bad, eating your favorite food, savoring a little piece of chocolate, enjoying the warmth of your drink or whatever, you're firing and wiring neurons in a new way. I loved this quote from a neuroscientist, Rick Hansen. He said, "The brain is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones." And that's true. Remember, our brain wants to keep us alive and is looking for that fear and negativity. So gratitude helps reverse that bias. When you can focus on appreciation intentionally and repeatedly, you strengthen the neural pathways that make gratitude easier and more automatic over time. And again, we're not pretending that we're happy, but we really are teaching our brain and our nervous system to notice safety again and again. And when our brain perceives the safety that our nervous system communicates, they talk to each other and remind each other that we're safe. I like to tell all of my clients that your brain and your nervous system are in a relationship. And gratitude is a very healthy way of communicating between them. It's how you remind your body, we are okay right now. And then you practice feeling that feeling of safety in your body. What does a grateful body feel like? Do you even know? What does your body feel like when it's grateful? For me, I feel a little bit lighter. I feel more at peace. I feel like I can handle things. I feel happy, right? I have a smile on my face. My face is relaxed. My body is relaxed. And it just feels good to be grateful. And when we have a body that feels good and grateful, it reminds our brain that life is good and everything is okay. So let's talk a little bit about gratitude in action with some examples. I thought a lot about being grateful for our bodies. I used to do health coaching and helped people. Traditionally, they wanted to lose weight and look better. And we would talk a lot about our whys. Looking better is, I believe, a secondary benefit of feeling good and giving our body what it deserves. Our body deserves to eat healthy after a workout. We don't deserve cookies and ice cream after we worked out so hard, right? Like, our body deserves to be replenished with healthy calories and vegetables and protein. I love salads. I love vegetables. So that's, I think, easier for me to, so that's easy for me to say. But guess what? Your taste buds replace themselves every 2 weeks. So you too can learn to love vegetables. Anyway, tangent. So a lot of my health coaching clients did not really like the size of their body or the shape, or they thought, I wish my hips were smaller, or I wish my stomach wasn't as frumpy. Some people said, oh, I wish I were taller or shorter. And some things of your body you can't change, right? You're not going to go and chop off 3 inches of your legs to be shorter. And again, we're always comparing our bodies to others. But this is one key point that I always told all of my clients. And I'm going to tell you now that until you can appreciate and start to love your body for what it is, what shape it is, what size it is, what it does for you, it will be harder for you to change that. I have learned to appreciate my body even more all the time. For example, after a mountain bike ride, I will literally pause, sometimes say out loud, "Thank you, legs, for climbing those hills. Thank you for taking me up there so I could see the beautiful scenery at the top." I tell my eyes, "Thank you, eyes. I'm so grateful that I can see." I have chronic back pain often, and it's getting so much better as I've learned to reroute my stress and complete the stress cycle so my back doesn't hold that. But I tell my back, "I'm so grateful that you are not hurting today." I tell my arms, "Thank you for being able to hug my kids and give me that experience." Thank you, body, for working hard in the garden. Thank you, body, for vacuuming and cleaning the dishes. Like, I love to see how it works. And I really do take the time to thank my physical body for everything that it does and that it is. And I think that's a really good place to start. And that's what I'm talking about. Just thanking your body. Okay. In parenting, after a long day, maybe your child is melting down. Dinner is late. You're really tired. You don't really want to do anything, but you know your future self will be more grateful. And gratitude can look like pausing to notice, okay, I'm grateful that we've all made it home safe. I'm grateful that this is a normal part of our crazy schedule. I'm grateful that we have things to do. I'm grateful that we have cars that take us there. I'm grateful that my children are developing skills and hobbies and talents. I'm grateful that we can take just a few moments to eat together and share tidbits about our day. And again, feel that in your body and remind your body that you're not in danger. And this is how we can regulate in real time. Even in leadership, we can do this. If you're a charge nurse or a manager, when leaders model gratitude, even parents, teachers, whoever's kind of in charge, it transforms the team's culture. I talked about this with teachers last week, that you are the culture keeper of your classroom. And when we can have a culture of gratitude and saying thank you specifically, like, hey, I appreciate how you handled that difficult patient today. Hey, Johnny, great job turning in your homework. I see that you worked hard on it. Hey, everybody, I'm grateful that you all wiped your feet before you came into the classroom, right? Or our home or anything. This activates our ventral vagal state in ourselves and in other people. So our team can feel safer, our students feel safer, our children feel safer. And everybody's performance improves because, right? Remember, the nervous system is relaxed and it functions better, and our brain is on when we see other people, when your nervous system feels seen, when your nervous system feels safe. So we're trying to develop that culture of gratitude. Okay, so how are some other ways of developing or building a gratitude practice? Because gratitude is a feeling that we get when we do something on purpose. It naturally doesn't happen. It's a really good habit to get into. And here are just a few evidence-based ways to start. The first is a gratitude journal. And I love doing this. And you can list these things, 10 things that you're grateful for at night. I like to do at least 3. When I'm driving down the road, taking my kids to school, I talk out loud. Okay, what are we grateful for? Look how beautiful that sunset is. Wow, look at how beautiful those trees are. Right now in Boise, Idaho, there's so many beautiful bright oranges and pinks and reds. And my daughter goes to school. She has 0 hour and we get to see the moon. And every morning we're looking for the moon and saying how beautiful it is. And I love purposely looking for things that we're grateful for. So write them down. Try and do at least 3 things. On top of that, feel them. Pause them to feel. Let your body register the sensation of warmth or appreciation or relaxing. And this is what anchors it into your nervous system. The next is writing letters or notes, thank you cards, or even a text, but I think it means a little bit more when we can remember to send a thank you card. So write or tell someone why you appreciate them. Research shows that expressing gratitude boosts happiness, again, for both yourself, the sender, and the receiver. And it creates a lasting neural change in social connection areas, again, in the brain and the nervous system. 3 wins, 3 small wins around the dinner table, or you can say, okay, what 3 things went well at the end of the shift? And, if you do group shift change, you could say, okay, what are 3 things that went well today? Even tiny things. And this helps retrain our brain to scan for safety and success and what's going right and what are we doing well, instead of turning on the threat response and looking for things that we did wrong and need to change. And this does make a difference. And then grounding your body. So combining gratitude with breath work. So take in an inhale, hold it, and as you exhale, think of something that you appreciate. A coworker, your home, your body's strength. This activates, again, the brain's reward system and the body's calming system at the same time. Over time, these micro practices start building new automatic habits, and this is what helps us. Complaining will feel less necessary, and your default slowly becomes more of regulation and connecting and not reactivity. Okay, so let's just wrap up with some takeaways. So here's the key. Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances, right? It changes the perception. It changes the lens that we're seeing life through. It changes our neurological state from sympathetic dominance and fear and anxiety and overwhelm and stress into I can handle this. I'm grateful. Things are safe. We've got this. We can connect. And from that regulated state, your body and brain can finally do their best work. We can live with intention. We can be authentically ourselves. We can see more options. We can connect better with other people. We interact better, and we can access creativity and problem solving. And I love that this is literally pathophysiology. And this is why I love it, is because it just makes so much sense. When I went to life coach school, I was taught that thoughts create feelings. And the nervous system science confirms that those feelings help shape our physiological state, right? Our nervous system produces vibrational energy, and our brain interprets those emotions and gathers that evidence from our nervous system. And our brain labels it as an emotion or a feeling. And then our actions are based on that emotion or that feeling. So gratitude thoughts are powerful because they help us with our cognitive area of our brain and with our physiology. So when you practice gratitude, you're not forcing positivity, but you're training regulation. The brain and the body can start communicating safely again. And that's what regulation is, right? A nervous system that trusts the present moment enough to stay open and curious. So as you go through this week, happy Thanksgiving, and try this simple experiment. Each time you notice yourself about to complain, pause and name one thing you're grateful for instead, because we can be grateful in any moment. And one step further, notice how your body feels when you do that. Maybe your shoulders drop. Maybe your breath softens a little bit, it slows down. And that's your nervous system rewiring itself to feel safe in real time. Again, gratitude isn't a moral virtue. It's a biological tool to help you. And when you can practice it consistently, your brain starts seeking more of that and seeing what's good. And your nervous system learns that life doesn't have to be an emergency. And remember, left untrained, your mind will always see what's wrong, right? That's the easy way. Your brain likes to do what's easy. Gratitude teaches your brain to see what's already going right and going well in your life. And I know that we can turn this into a habit. So thank you again. I want all of you to know, I don't know all of you who are listening to this podcast, but I am grateful that you are. I am grateful that you're sharing it. I am grateful for your feedback. I am grateful that you're learning and hopefully making a difference in your life. I also want you to remember that action is where real change happens. And I would love to work with you. I am not a scary person. I love helping you see your blind spots. I love helping you become more grateful, overcoming complaining, overcoming stress, overwhelm. And I am so grateful for all of my coaches that help me with my own brain, and I would love to help you. So reach out to me. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk later. Every week, you're learning something new here on this podcast, and that is a powerful first step. But guess what? Information alone doesn't create transformation. True change happens when you start to think differently and shift the nervous system patterns that drive your behavior. As a coach and an emotional resiliency expert, that is the work I do. I love to walk alongside you, whether it's one-on-one, in a small group that you choose, or with your workplace team. I can help you retrain your brain and nervous system so that stress no longer runs the show. You'll find ways to connect with me in the show notes. Let's do this work together.